Welcome to Leadership Talk, the official Waymaker podcast, the place for conversations about leadership, strategy, and technology that help make business improvement business as usual. Welcome to Leadership Talk, the only Waymaker podcast. I'm your host, Craig. And with me, as usual, is Julie, CEO, founder of Waymaker, the one and only. How are you, mate?
As usual, I'm great.
That's good.
That as usual was like, hey, as usual. The one and only podcast, the source of truth for all things Waymaker leadership.
There are no others. And
if there are, we will find you and we will endorse you.
I was going to say, learn from what they have to say.
That's true. That would be the mature thing to say.
It would be excellent segue, because we are actually at the fourth posture.
Correct.
About 5 of the leadership postures.
Somebody's got to run this ship.
Yeah, and which we thought was quite humorous, because it's the maturity phase of growth phase of the business. Which we both started laughing. Like someone just made a fart sound effect or something. It was that type of giggle.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm caffeined up. We're ready to go. It's we're in the maturity growth stage of the business, and that requires a leadership posture of wisdom. Stu.
Well, we should just kind of set context, set the scene, because if this is the first podcast you've listened to thinking, hey, who are these Waymaker guys, gals? Yeah. They're doing this amazing work in strategic leadership and this amazing software platform. Cutting edge stuff in the world of AI and algorithms. And then you got that opening, you'd be like, really?
Yeah.
And we're like, that's exactly really. We are down to earth, real people doing real mature things. So here we go. Waymaker's leadership curve is the journey from here to there. Everybody wants to go from A to Z. And on that journey of A to Z, you got to figure out which skills and systems do I need to invest in. Okay, ask the 7 questions. That's going to take you on a holistic journey around vision, market strategy, business model, sales, marketing, service, employee experience, and drive the highest and most valuable course of action in your business for the short term in order to reach your long-term goal. Boom. However, as you move through that journey, you'll go through a series of stages of growth, classic stages of growth. No rocket science here. Everybody goes through it. We just happen to call them ideation, first idea, identity, who are we, what's our market fit, do we have market fit, calibration, building team skills and systems, maturity, which is expanding the organization. And then we call it mastery or market leadership, really, where you're leading your market, you're 1, 2, or 3 in your market, and you're transforming how people live or work or all of the above. And the big idea is this: you're never just one kind of leader. That's one-dimensional. That's not dynamic. The reality is each of those stages of growth require different skills and systems in your team and your business.
Yep.
And they require you to be a leader that has a different posture. You've got to face north, south, east, west, and somewhere in between all along that journey. And so we talk about the postures of leadership that help you find the breakthrough required to get through that stage of growth and into the next. And what have we covered? We've covered the curious leader, which is the posture to find the breakthrough required at the ideation phase. The persistent leader, the posture required to find market fit and form your identity as an organization.
Yep.
The empowering leader.
The boring one.
the boring one, where you're calibrating, you're growing team skills and systems. And today we talk the wise leader, which, some may question, do we have the credibility to talk about wise leaders, which is all about the maturity stage. And as we unpack those, the curious leader is all about leading yourself, because you're on your own, finding a value problem, starting to pull people around you. The persistent leader is about leading others and finding effective solutions. The empowering leader is you're starting to lead leaders. the others that you were leading are now becoming the leaders of this organization as you build teams, skills, and systems. And today we're talking the wise leader. You've actually broken through this calibration phase and you're into this new plateau of wondrous maturity where it is just a wonderful place to be. And it is, because it's a moment in time where there's consistency in results. We define the mature stage of the organization as a time when you choose to invest, you know you get consistent returns. You choose to go to market, you know you get consistent returns. You choose to hire people, you know you get consistent returns. You choose to do whatever you want to do and you know you're getting consistent returns. It's actually one of the most wonderful places to be, but it's also the most dangerous place to be.
Because you can take your foot off the gas, you can rest on your laurels, you can all those things, or you can just let the market go ahead, and you're not innovating, you're not recreating, you're not ideating again, right?
Yeah. Sorry, did somebody say Kodak?
I heard Blockbuster, but
man, I'm just hearing things. You're exactly right. That's the moment. It's the moment where suddenly life feels good, and people are looking up to you because you're that wise leader, and you're like, "Wow, aren't I amazing? Isn't our business amazing? Look at the cash roll in. We're dropping money here. We're making money there," and you feel great. And when you feel great, that is the moment when you actually, as a leader, need to step back and go, how long is this going to last?
Well, we might dive into that in the risks section of the conversation a little bit more.
I'm jumping ahead.
No, that's fine. And you've kind of defined what the maturity growth stage looks like. Just before we sort of talk about some of the must-do actions for the wise leader, I'm wondering if you can give me maybe some insight in the transition between the empowering leader and the wise leader, and what are some of those, moments, what are some of those markers that would suggest, okay, this is actually we're moving into this phase now?
You could be experiencing one or many of these kinds of things going on in your organization. One, your team is actually starting to run the organization.
Yep.
You actually can start to feel like a passenger on the ship. Although you're directing it, and you may still be the guy or the girl driving the thing, it actually starts to feel effortless because another 6, 8, 10, 12 shoulders are carrying that leadership burden. And so you rock up to team meetings and they happen well. And perhaps somebody else is chairing them. It's no longer you. You run your quarterly strategy day and you actually feel like this could have happened without me and it could have been as good or better. You have people coming to you not asking what should I do or tell me what to do, but asking questions around, okay, these are my options. Can you help me solve this problem? You have the people that are around you asking questions that are more mid and long term of nature than short term of nature. You are seeing consistency in outcomes. It could be an ad campaign, it could be a new product launch, and you know with confidence that it's going to happen within kind of safe boundaries of expectations, and it does. You have a level of operating rhythm that is now got the momentum that the operating rhythm just happens. The momentum is just powering you through. You have some attacks or competitive actions against you, and that's okay. You can kind of fend them off. You're like that front rower. I don't know what they call it in NHL or but you like that dude just running through the pack, puts his arm out, and people just fall by your wayside. It's you have time and space to think about the future, and you have time and space to enjoy the good harvest that you've built, if I can use that language. You have people coming to you saying, "Hey, would you acquire us?" Or, could we do something together? Because you're now in market leadership. You have people coming to you with money saying, "What if we put some money in here and did this? And would that work for you? And that would work for us." You're starting to enjoy a position that you probably dreamt about, many years beforehand. So if I'm talking about those characteristics, and you're going, "Hey, that feels like me," it's possible that you're in that maturity phase of the organisation.
Sounds like a wonderful, magical, utopian that only happens between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. one day. We're like
at 2:05 last Thursday.
In the life cycle of your business.
Yeah, but to be honest, that is a reality for many leaders.
Yeah, and
sadly, some leaders go, "Yeah, I did feel that last year or a few years ago, but something happened," and so there is a state here as you're leading and you're working up through Waymaker's leadership curve of recognizing that you should enjoy the good times. Like, you should enjoy those. That's good. That's wonderful. But actually, if you stay there and don't recognize where you are, and focus on the priorities of where you are, then summer always draws to an end, and you need to get prepared. This sounds so pessimistic, but winter is coming, and so you do need to think ahead. This is where so many organisations, or rather leaders of organisations, actually can find themselves trapped. They realise that, oh gosh, I've built this business, I've built this team. Do I have purpose in life anymore? Because my life has been this thing for 5 or 10 years, and it happens without me. Am I not wanted? Am I not needed? Do I now have no meaning and purpose in the world because other people are driving this ship? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I recently heard a talk by Jim Rohn on the 4 seasons and the repetitive nature of the 4 seasons, and how as a leader to prepare for each season, because like you say, they come with predictable regularity. And it's actually really fascinating to sort of talk about, hey, it's a winter season, but winter eventually turns into spring. Yeah. And spring eventually turns into summer, and the different postures that you take in the different seasons. It's actually really fascinating. I'll try and find a link and put it in the show notes.
That's a good idea.
Just, for those people that were feeling depressed right then.
I love a bit of Jim. He's awesome. But I mean, you're right. It's this is actually a great time, and you feel good. You're expanding the organisation. And so wisdom, one of my favourite sayings about wisdom is the application of the knowledge of truth. And I think that's just a wonderful explanation of wisdom. The application, I'm applying the knowledge of the truth. You've discovered objective truth along this journey. You've found market fit. You've developed a solution or multiple solutions now that solve a problem or problems inside your organisation. And there's a lot of truth being understood about the customer, the market, the situation, the industry, the situation, the community, society. And the knowledge of the application of truth, you've been one of the key people that's gone along that journey. So you hold a lot of knowledge and how to apply that truth. You are wise.
Excellent.
So I think the the thing here is to understand what do I do with that.
So what are some of the must do applications?
Favorite rock stars. You know me. I love a good bit of U2. It's hard to get away from.
Can I just intercept here?
Oh, yeah.
Stu started a website back in the day called Bring U2 Down Under because U2 had not toured Australia for many years.
A very long time.
This was around the Achtung Baby.
It might have been. I can't remember when we did it. Late
I think
90s?
it was Achtung. No, I think it was definitely Achtung Baby because you were pretty.
Well, I think they toured. They toured because remember they. Here we go. Trivia coming out right now. They'd recorded the DVD in Sydney in like 92 or 3 or something.
That's right.
Then they'd gone on some crazy weird trip with that pop album. And then they released a masterpiece in the early 2000s called
All That You Can't Leave Behind.
All That You Can't Leave Behind. Amazing album. And did they put Australia and New Zealand on that tour? No,
they did not.
And we had to take some action. We had to picket in the streets, damn it. We had to sell T-shirts.
I was going to say, you got some T-shirts made.
I think
you lobbied. Why aren't you still doing that?
That was I'm not sure we had product market fit, but man, we got.
They did come.
But okay. So they did come, didn't they? I think Bono has this wonderful phrase about celebrity. He goes, "It's a currency." And you've got to choose where to spend it, because if you overspend it, then you deflate the currency. And I think wisdom is very much like that. Wisdom is a currency. You overspend it, loses its value. You underspend it, people are shortchanged and don't get the value. So in this stage, these must-do actions are learning how to spend the currency of wisdom.
Good.
Did you see my segue there from rock and roll?
I loved it. It was excellent.
Thanks.
I tried to derail you, but you were rock solid, so to speak.
So in this phase, where we've actually built, previous phase, we've built a team. We've led leaders. Now we're leading leaders of leaders. And so we've got to get that wisdom and that knowledge down into and through the teams and our leaders. And so we've got to be doing a few things. One, we've got to be creating the freedom and space for others. We've actually, I think I talked last week about choosing not to be behind the wheel, but be chauffeur driven. And absolutely, yes, you might be, the image I want you to conjure up is of a captain of a big cruise ship or passenger ship or one of those huge ships that have like a whole suburb on them. And actually the captain isn't the guy driving the ship. He's the guy on the bridge giving the instructions and asking questions, but actually there's guys, girls driving the ship. And you don't have your hand at the wheels. You're not the helmsman. And so there's a team of you kind of moving this thing along. Think Captain Kirk in his chair in Star Trek. This is your cue for some inappropriate lines.
I think there's been 5 iterations of Star Trek since Captain Kirk.
Still to this day.
Maybe that is the generation that we're talking to.
It could be. What was his name?
Let's go Picard. We could go Picard.
Picard was no Kirk. Anyway, point being, you're leading leaders of leaders, and your hands are off the wheel. You're still influencing your drive, and you've got to create the freedom and space for others to go out and do. This is a wonderful time to actually do R&D and innovation, because you've got consistency of outcome in core business. I remember being in a corporate world, working on a project that was very mature, very successful, making tens of millions of dollars of profit a year. And it was a place inside the organisation that was safe to do R&D, to have a crack at doing things that hadn't been done before. Because if you made a mistake, it was pretty easy to patch up because of that maturity you had, and that meant we could take some of that R&D and that innovation, and we could refine it there, and then spin it off into other parts of the country and the organisation, and share that knowledge out, and so that worked incredibly well. So creating freedom and space for others. With that though, you must also demand leadership and accountability from your leaders. That is one of the must-do actions at this stage. It's good leaders don't ask for excellence. They demand excellence and the accountability towards that excellence. And at this stage, it's absolutely what you should be doing of the leaders around you. And remember, by this stage, you and the overall organisation is at this mature phase, but there will now be other teams, leaders, and parts of the organisation coming through at earlier stages. Does that make sense? So what I want people to kind of hear this really clearly right now. That doesn't mean that the new supervisor in one of these new areas of the business is demanding excellence and leadership and accountability in the same way that this leader is. No, that's kind of overbearing, over-demanding. They should be holding the posture of leadership required for their stage of growth, for their part of the organisation. That's important. This is where I think sometimes gets missed. But at this point, for this kind of leader, with the leaders around them, you're demanding that leadership and accountability. Not asking, you're demanding. And it's okay if people don't meet it, but there've got to be reasons why and pathways to closing those gaps. And this is the hard-nosed space of good leadership and management of high-quality outcomes. It's not win at all costs. It's not profit before people. In fact, it's deepening values and your beliefs and your mindsets and diversifying value streams. Does that make sense? So
yeah. And it's also worth noting that there's been 3 other growth stages within the organization to iron out some of the, and to, So when we say demanding excellence, like we're actually at a point where we actually know what works and what doesn't, and we want to do it to the best of our ability, right?
Correct, because excellence is now achievable because we've hired the right people, we've got the right learning development, skills development, we've got the right systems in place, and excellence is a standard.
And we've pretty much defined what that looks like. This is what excellence looks like because we've achieved maturity.
Correct. And that is vastly different to starting something up and demanding excellence when excellence is an unknown quantum of disinformation that from Tuesday to Thursday changes 16 different times based on how a leader might be feeling. No, that's just crazydom. And I think we've all experienced that at times. We can demand excellence, as you just so rightly said, Craig, because we know what excellence is, that excellence is attainable and achievable. And as an organisation, we've made excellence achievable for the ordinary person. You don't actually have to say, gosh, I need all the rock stars around me to create excellence. No, I just need normal everyday people who are the right fit for these roles. And because of the way we run this place, we can conjure up excellence.
Yep.
That's a very, very different space. So the must-do actions, creating freedom and space for others, demanding leadership and accountability at this point, deepening values and diversifying value streams.
That's awesome. So, what can we expect as the rewards for, actioning those items well? Yeah.
So rewards, pretty obvious financial payback. You're making hay while the sun shines right now. The second is reputation acceleration. This is the moment when people start talking about your organisation and you as the as the overnight success. And
Yeah.
we all know that every overnight success took 10 years of hard work to be an overnight success. So you will see that suddenly unfold, and those around you will benefit in that too. You will build your own personal and collegiate reputations off the back of the organisation's growth, because you will see vision fulfillment. This is the moment when early visions are becoming realities, and that's why this can be such a dangerous moment, because the moment you're actually seeing the vision being a reality means that 2 moments ago, 3 moments ago, 5 moments ago, you as the leader should have been recasting that vision.
Yeah. This is actually the critical point of the curve that Jim Collins talks about in Good to Great, right?
The inflection moment. This is the moment. Yeah, you must, great leaders see the organisation not for what it is today, but for what it can be tomorrow. And you must always be living in that state, drawing people towards that future state and helping them get there. And this is that moment where people are like, we're there. And you need to be able to say, there's changed. And welcome to the new there. This new there, that's where we're going. And enjoy the old there for a little while. Let's lap it up and love it. But as we're doing that, see that picture of that new there? That's the new there. That's where we're going.
Dare I open this Pandora's box? But I mean, this is Meta's story right now, right? They're casting a new there.
They are. Yeah. I think this is this is one of those moments in life where you can look at an organisation recasting a new vision, and they're a phenomenally successful organisation. Whether you love or hate Facebook, they have become a market leader. They have transformed the way we live and work. They've got all the way through to that next phase we're going to talk about next week, which is the Inspirational Leader. Well, actually, maybe they haven't yet. We should talk about that next week. But they absolutely at an inflection point where they're recasting a new vision into a new space. And let me talk to this. This is going to get dodgy. I actually don't think they're casting a new vision.
Yeah.
Their vision has always been to connect the world.
Yeah.
And their daily purpose has always been to connect people through chat, through image, through video, through call, through digital tools. That's not new. Mm-hmm. So the meta world is actually the same vision as the original Facebook. I get the need for a name change. You don't want to confuse products, Facebook, Insta, WhatsApp, whatever else they've got. I can't remember. And now this future metaverse. But in reality, I actually think they've okay, let's go there. Should we go there for a minute?
Okay. You've got 90 seconds to go. Okay, there. Go.
All right. I'll tell you my thoughts. You tell me your thoughts. But
all right, go.
So let's say Meta is an amazing success. They've rebranded the company into Meta, and all they've done is call this new product that they're trying to launch the company name.
Yeah,
that doesn't seem sensible to me. If you were trying to actually create a new product and go somewhere, well, do what Alphabet did. This is Alphabet, and we govern and we manage multiple products, of which Google is one of them. Now, last time I checked, and this could have moved slightly, but last time I checked, Google still represented something like 84, 86, or 88% of Alphabet's revenues. And I dare say a lot higher of their profits. I'm not sure, but I would love to check that. So it's very difficult to take a core and off that core create a whole new thing. Facebook, I think, have made a branding mistake. Meta, whatever we're calling, but hey, we'll save that topic for another time because they've just set themselves up for the same mistake. And then secondly, what they've done well is where they're going is where they've always said they want to go. So I'll happily, kick Facebook for a minute, but let me just, pat them on the back too. Their vision has always been to connect the world. Their purpose has always been to connect people daily through all these digital business tools. Meta is just another expression of that through augmented reality. So they're not off vision and they're not off purpose. Meta is just a new product. The mistake I think they've made is betting the entire company on it by rebranding the entire company Meta. It may or it may not work. And that I'm not saying that augmented reality may or may not work. I think augmented reality is going to work in some way, shape or form. There's an industry there unfolding. It's huge. But will Meta be the Meta of that Meta world? That's yet to be proven. And gee, there's too many organizations that have spent all the money and paved the way and built the infrastructure only for somebody to come in kind of from the outside and scoop up all the rewards. Did I hear somebody say Apple? Just look at what Apple did with smartphones and iPods, and then and watched all the mistakes of the early entrants whilst R&D and learning that. So I think Meta's in a really, really dangerous position. I think the jury's out. My jury's out anyway on whether or not that's been a smart move. It's been a good visionary move. I'm not sure it's been executed as well as it should have been executed, because they've put everything on it. They've put everything on this future of Meta. And if they get the execution of Meta wrong, then they've got the company wrong. Whereas they could have executed Meta in a way where they could still adapt and innovate and move forward. Do you kind of hear what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think Meta. I think the rebrand was a necessary
evil.
Given the reputation that Facebook has garnered over the last couple of years.
Yep.
So I think that I actually think it's unfortunate that those two have happened at the same time.
Yeah.
In terms though of, I think what they're casting now is a new how.
Not a new why.
It's not a new why, and it's not a new what.
Correct. Yeah.
It's just a new how, which I actually think is completely on brand, on script, on
Yeah.
the rebrand was probably unfortunate. I think that it will be a world that will be embraced by and you're right, in 3 or 4 years Apple's going to come out with some products that will destroy
or the next Apple,
everyone in their way.
Or the next Apple. This is going to be a really interesting moment. So Facebook is a great example. Meta is a great example.
Yeah.
They're at this stage. They're leading leaders of leaders. They're creating freedom and space for others. They are demanding leadership and accountability. They're a brutal organisation. They are pursuing and deepening their values, whether you agree with them or not, and they are diversifying value streams. They have had financial payback. They are getting reputation acceleration, positive and negative, and they are achieving vision fulfillment. So they are a great example. They've not got comfortable. They've pulled the levers to get back uncomfortable again. They are trying to disrupt themselves. I'm into risks now because we haven't talked about risks.
Yeah, that's great. Keep going.
So they are stopping the organisation getting comfortable. They are stopping the organisation. They are forcing the organisation to disrupt themselves, and that's going to create employee upset, and you're going to hear those murmurs and stakeholder upset. They are investing outside of the organisation and translating that into new growth paths. Are they too far from the customer? I don't know. It's interesting. Their customer is not you. Their customer is the business buying advertising space to exploit you. And they're pretty close to those. They've got a pretty good relationship. So the key outcomes, if we use Meta as the example, have they bought well? Have they done mergers and acquisitions well? Are they doing good strategic value creation? And that jury's out right now. I think that jury's out. The market is saying that jury's out. This is a great case study to follow around how do you pull those levers and expand the organisation at this point. But credit to those guys and girls and whoever's that are driving the ship, because they are choosing to play the game, and it's a wonderful case study for all of us to watch.
Yeah, let's revisit it in another couple of years, maybe.
What's your prediction? Let's put some predictions on the line and our reputations on the line here, Craig.
I think Meta will be a player in a much bigger space than they've created.
Yeah.
And I think the tools through which those spaces are engaged with will not be through Meta, even though they want them to be.
Yeah.
Like technology, VR headsets, all that sort of stuff. Phones, like they're not. I mean, basically, you need tools in which to interact in those spaces, so you can't control the entire space.
Yep.
Having said that, who knows?
All right, here's my call.
Okay, your call.
Okay, I'm going to agree with you. I think they're going to break the walls down. They'll break the ceiling on this and push the industry there. And I think they will be a bit like Alphabet. They will still be making the core of their money 10, 15 years later from one or two primary products, being Facebook and Insta.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that will be the engine driving the business, and they won't be top one or two in that world. They'll just be a major player trying to pull the Facebook engine forward. And if they crack it, good on them. But I think it's almost they won't be able to move as fast as they need to move in that space because of the baggage they're carrying.
All right, you've heard it first from... There we go. This will be an interesting one to listen back to.
In 5 years' time, we'll dig it up and replay it and see what happens.
We were talking about the importance of creating evergreen content. This may date very well or not very well at all.
Or our reputations could be trashed.
So we need to wrap it up. The wise leader, we've talked about that, this posture is most important in the maturity growth stage of an organization, where we start to lead leaders of leaders. There are great rewards, but there's also the potential for destruction in our risk section, like of our organization, if we don't jump on the reinvention wheel. But the learning outcomes are going to set us up for the next stage, which is mastery, which we'll talk about in our next episode.
Yeah, great summary. And you can we've got this as a resource in Waymaker Academy. So if you're not a user of Waymaker.io, jump on, start your free trial. That'll give you access to Waymaker Academy. You can get into some of this content and explore these postures, because why are we doing this? Number one, your organization is somewhere on this growth curve. If you want to know where, cool. Take the Waymaker diagnostic, get your team asking and answering the 7 questions, transform your quarters, transform your business. And as you're doing that, ask some hard questions of yourself. Regardless of who I am as a leader, am I postured in the right way for where my organization needs me? And that's the big idea we want leaders to capture. You may be that inspirational leader, that wise leader, or that curious leader, but if your organization is in the phase of calibration where you're growing teams, skills and systems, you need to be the empowering leader, and you need to understand what that means, some of the core skills around that, the rewards, the risks, and the key outcomes. And you will best serve your people and your organization as you drive them up that, or not drive, lead them up that curve.
And wherever you are on the curve, we just want you to learn how to make business improvement business as usual.